Hi, welcome to Magical Extra by the Echo World. I'm Michael. Today, I want to talk about LGBTQ and their role through history with shamanism, spirituality, and things holy. The lesbian, gay, transsexual, transgender, bisexual, and queer or questioning group I looked at today as something new, and by some as something disapproved of, by others as fighting to find their voice. They've existed throughout history. Before organized religions came to the forefront here in the last couple thousand years, being gay was accepted and looked at as part of the sacred rites all over the world. Um, our culture grows out of Europe to a great degree. It was true in Africa and Egypt, Asia and Latin America. In the early rites in Europe, there was Baccus and Aphrodite and Dionysus and Hecate. All of their rights embraced and was expected that homosexuality would be part of it. It wasn't looked down upon. Sexuality was an alternative identity was a norm, a way of being. It's hard for people who haven't studied history to realize that that's the way it was before the recent 2000 or so years. I've been in Peru, and you can see the sculptures and the clay pots of lesbian and gay acts. In Asia, you can see it in the temples, as in India. We have a selective amnesia. And the path to spirituality, to true spirit, is one of passion and one of knowing oneself. So part of that almost has to be looking at realistically your sexual identity and your sexual practices. If you've looked at that and you're happy and content and sure that you're heterosexual in a heterosexual relationship, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're open-minded to other people finding and exploring their sexual identity and their sexual practices. For myself, when I moved from a small town north of Boston into Boston, I began studying witchcraft with the witches of Salem. And I met and became friends with a wide array of lesbian and gay, bisexual people, who some of which are still my friends to this day. Then when I moved to San Francisco, well, at that time, it was a few decades back, the debate was, is it our responsibility, asked the gay community, to come out of the closet, so to speak, and tell our family and friends that they're gay? And whatever the results of that, is it more important to be honest rather than hide what's important to you? Years later, as the gay community grew and developed and evolved, it became accepted that that was their responsibility to come out and be not in people's faces, but honest and share their whole selves with people. I went to more pagan, shamanic, new age, alternative spiritual gatherings, ceremonies, events than most people when I lived in San Francisco and Oakland, because I was the co-publisher of Magical Blend magazine. And it was our responsibility to see what the cutting edge of spirituality was doing. We ran many articles on sexual identity and alternative spiritual practices that embraced sexual identity and alternative views of sexuality. One day we had an office in downtown San Francisco, and one day it was on the 5th floor, and I was walking up the stairs, and it dawned on me that, all my staff is gay. How did that happen? And I realized that my business partner and I always hired the most qualified for the jobs we were needing to fill, and that fate had just brought us many qualified gay people. My business partner, Jerry Snyder, one of the most talented writers, editors, designers I've ever worked with, was gay. And he was one of my best friends for years. Bless you, Jerry. One of our columnists, Van Alt, was a tall gay gentleman from Tennessee. And he not only wrote great columns for us for years, but he was the leader of a gay alternative spirituality, shamanic, pagan group for years in San Francisco. I have, over the years, taken part of many, many ceremonies that were either attended by or led by lesbian, gay, bisexual, transvestite, transsexual, queer people. And they were very powerful. Why is this? Well, to question your spiritual beliefs is the first step in many people's lives. Not that organized religion doesn't work for a lot of people and isn't wonderful when it's done right, but for many people is to question their value systems in general. And once you've started questioning your value systems, your sexual identity, your way of living, you open up to a passion and the possibilities of what true spirituality is. Not a requirement, but definitely has been important throughout the years. One of the groups I forgot to mention that I was going to mention earlier, the Native Americans of both Latin America and North America had strong traditions of gay shamans. The Zuni are most written about, most researched, and it was the majority of their shamans were gay or transsexual. This has been a pattern throughout time, and it's worth reading about. It's worth observing. There's tons of stuff I've just looked on YouTube about practices, about sexual identity, and I think it's important for people to realize, both those who are of the LGBTQ community and those who aren't, that the role these sexual identities have played in history has been very different. Ancient history was very different. And the path, for those with open minds, it's really a golden door to seeing possibilities and opening up to possibilities and living possibilities. I believe that the future is going to be androgynous, that most of our great-grandchildren will have a whole different view of sexuality and sexual identities. I had a good friend, Marilyn Tanashende, who I spoke with at great length about ceremonies and shamanic beliefs. Marilyn told me many good things. One of them was that the best ceremony she ever did was going in the desert by herself and howling at the moon and dancing around cactus and rocks. Another was she believed that the fifth world was coming. This is a Mayan belief, and that Quetzalcoatl or Kukulkan, the Kukulkan is the Mayan rainbow serpent, feathered serpent, and Quetzalcoatl is the Aztec version of that, that they're coming back to bring whoever wants to go into the future, whoever wants to go into the most brightest future they can get on their backs and go forward. But they don't care if one person or no one gets on their backs to go into the future, if humanity stays right where it is, or if all 7.5 billion of us get on their back and go into a utopian, glorious, new age, golden age of humanity and earth. So I want to lead us in a meditation to explore this for ourselves. If you don't mind, if you'd like to just listen, well, of course, that's fine. But if you'd like to relax, close your eyes. We'll go down the stairs of an ancient Mexican temple, and I'll count us down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here we open a big stone door. And behind it is Quetzalcoatl, the rainbow serpent. Who better to bring us to the future? Any who want, climb with me on his back. As we sit on his back, his wings spread, and she carries us high above the earth. You can feel the breeze in your hair. You can smell the scents of beautiful spring flowers. You know that we're leaving this time and we're going through the decades into the future. Slowly, Quetzalcoatl floats down to a beautiful spot of your imagining. And here, we get off his back for the moment. We're here. We are in this androgynous future that I spoke of, that belongs to our lineage of the future, our great-grandchildren, if you will. I will leave you here for a moment in time, that you may meet someone or some group and speak to them about what your view is of alternative spirituality, of your sexual identity, of passion, of love, and they may tell you about the future. Things that will enhance and enrich your lives today. So go exploring and I'll call you back after a little bit. Relax, be open to who you meet and what you see and what you hear. Now, know that you can come back here at any time. The Quetzalcoatl is more than happy to bring you on the astral planes. Thank the people you've met, the wisdom you've gathered, the insights you've gathered. Say your goodbyes as we slowly climb back on the back of the rainbow serpent. All aboard. Don't want to be left in the future. He rises into the air. Once again, we smell the spring flowers, feel the warm breezes. Know that we're coming back to the now. To a now that we bring a new perspective, a new knowing, a new being. Quetzalcoatl brings us back to behind the stone door in the Mayan temple. We get off his back and we rise together, walking up the stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You're now at the top of the stairs. You return to from where you left. You'll have these memories, and you can use this procedure to return to the future at any point. I want to thank my wife, Sophia, for the accompaniment. And I want to thank you all for watching this. And I hope we all keep an open mind, question our spiritual beliefs, question our sexual identities, question our values, question everything, and come to conclusions that work for you best. As we go into the future, we bring the best of the past and the best of ourselves yet to be unfolded. Thank you.